ideas and content expressed on this show are our own. It's completely wrong.
No, that was pretty close.
Okay, the ideas and content expressed in this show are our own and do not reflect the views or opinion of any previous or current employers.
Yeah,
Boom.
that's really close. That was good.
Without even reading it.
I mean, you wrote it, so it's it's like if somebody were to have like a really terrible song, but they couldn't remember their own lyrics.
Oh my God. I hear you. So, do you like our new digs, man?
I love this. This is a way better conference room than the other crappy rooms that we've been in before.
We're big time.
Dude, this is big time, yeah.
It really is. We got a whiteboard.
I mean, this is as big time as you can get at a public library.
Hey. We're big time here. We're celebrities.
I'm sorry.
I even wrote the Construction Manager podcast up on the whiteboard so people would know. I'm going to leave that shit up there. I'm not going to erase it.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, that's what those idiots are doing here.
I hope so.
Those two clowns with the matching jackets keep going in and out of here with those bags.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think of that manual, dude? It's badass, huh?
I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks like you have...
Except for the coffee I spilled all over the front of it.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I would call it authentic if it didn't have coffee.
For sure.
I mean, it looks extremely professional.
Thanks. It
and it's
almost
full
killed
of
me.
all the stuff that we've been talking about.
I'm telling you, dude.
It's great, because this is like, I did zero work, and all my thoughts are in this book.
All your thoughts are captured in the pages of that book.
Every time you show me something that you've done, I'm like, oh, man.
You're like, man, that guy's amazing.
He's a machine.
Yeah, dude, I've been getting up super early and staying up super late to get that thing done. Because I promised the listeners, man, I was like, it's coming out.
I mean, this is awesome. Well, we've got lots to add. There's so many little facets of this business, man.
Oh, my God, dude, no kidding.
Forever.
No kidding, forever. I'm already thinking about volume 3 or version 3 of that thing because there's so much more that can be added. But I promises made, promises kept, right? So everybody that bought the show notes, essentially, I sent that out to them yesterday.
Wow.
Because I thought it was important to get out to them.
Illustrations of your notes titling and
yeah, man.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Damn, that's good.
There's a lot of stuff in there, man. A lot of information.
Did you finally record that, like a good version of that stupid disclaimer so I can quit saying it?
No.
Well, I don't want to say it anymore.
Oh, well, you don't have a choice. You know what we had to do is get some voice person to do it.
I want to get my brother to record like
music?
A song
Singing
that
it?
sings it.
Yeah.
Except I want it to be like death metal. So that it opens
I'm
up
on board
as
with that.
hardcore.
I'm on board with that. I would love it.
That would be cool.
Because I like, I want the music on the podcast to reflect the grittiness of, I don't know. Are we gritty?
Are we gritty?
I don't think so.
No.
I'm very soft these days. My I have no calluses
It's cold
anymore.
out.
It's
I
cold.
gotta have gloves and a hat. That's because you're soft because you haven't been in the field. You're behind a desk so much.
You know what, though, man? I find that I spend a lot of time out in the field, man.
Yeah.
Like today, I was knee deep in the mud, and I'm thinking to myself, I got to go walk into that library covered with mud.
Right.
But I stomped my shoes off pretty good.
The same reasons why you go into this construction management field in the first place is like, man, it sounds great. You're outside. It's nice out. Birds are chirping, and I want to be in that environment.
Yeah.
And then you've got to me where I also want to be in that environment, and I can't see it from the office or a cubicle or the trailer. And so I get on site. I say that I don't. I'm out there pretty much every day.
I guarantee you are.
Out there. Yeah. And, as far as walking homes with the guys, I feel like I look at more issues that we've got out on site now than I do day-to-day stuff. So I kind of miss out on some of the day-to-day.
You know what, man? That's it. I just look at problems all day long. But I'm always on the job site looking at the problems instead of being like, oh, look at this amazing house you built or this amazing building or whatever. I'm like, look at this.
It's also easy to focus on only the complaints that you've got.
Yeah.
I know you are hearing from the people, just like me. You're hearing from the people that have some sort of an issue. You don't talk to the people that are just really excited about their home that closes
man.
tomorrow.
Nobody ever calls me up and says, hey, man, everything's great.
Right, yeah, this house is beautiful. Thank you. No, they don't. But they do. That is something that the CM gets. CM, as a construction manager or a superintendent, you can't only focus on those 2 of 20 that were upset about something. You have to also be excited about the stuff that you built for people that are really happy about it.
You know, I had a homeowner once give me 4 bottles of wine. He was like, I
suppose you gave it back because that's against company policy, right?
Yeah. But this is a while ago, and the guy called me and he said, "Hey, you know, can you come by my house? I want to show you something." I'm like, "All right, here we go." You know, guy found a nail pop. So I show up, and he's like, "Hey, man, I love my house. You know, do you like wine?" And I'm like, "Do I like wine?" "Yeah, I sure do." And he's like,
"Sir, I like couches too. Look at this thing."
Well, he's like, he gives me a bottle of wine, and he's like, "You like red wine?" And I said, "Yeah, I love it." And he goes, "Well, here, take 2 bottles." Yeah. He's like, "As a matter of fact," and by the time I left there, I had 4 bottles of red wine.
He's like loading you up.
Yeah, I was like, right on, buddy.
You know, it's a rewarding biz.
It really is.
Sometimes it takes a few to, you know, make you realize he's really appreciative and
he's
really excited about it. And also some of the people that are upset are just upset because that's what they feel they have to be in this circumstance.
So along those lines, so some of the times the people are upset because they don't understand the processes on the job site, right? Yeah. They don't understand the process of building a home.
We talk a lot about that at work.
We do. So, and that's what we're going to talk about today, because we're going to talk about understanding your trade partners' processes for how they do work. You know, what they have to do, what's involved with it, who they're dependent on, and why it matters, right? So, I'll give you an example. So, I was listening to a guy. It doesn't work for me. I was just happened to be eavesdropping because I'm super nosy, and he was demanding that his mason, brick this entire 3-side brick home. And he was like, "I want it just like a Thursday." And he's like, "I want it done by Monday." And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, you don't want that mason. You don't want that brickwork. But second of all,
thrown together.
You know, they can't do it. No. You know, and there are reasons they can't do it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this guy just has no idea he doesn't understand the process of this mason. He's making this demand, and the mason, you know, I was on the other, like the phone. He's talking to him. I'm sure the mason was like, "Look, man, I can't. Yeah. A, I can't physically do it. B,
how much money I could make if I could brick that fast?"
Right. So I don't know if he was trying to explain the process to the guy, but you know, finally the guy got off the phone with the mason, and he was all angry with him. But I'm just thinking to myself, hey man, you just don't understand. You don't understand how masons work. They can't possibly brick a 3-sided house in 3 days, and they're sure as heck not coming out on Sunday to do it.
Right.
So I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. Sometimes you get lucky, but it just struck me that here's a guy that's running a job that doesn't understand the processes of how his trades work. So I wanted to talk about that today and why it's so important to actually take the time. If you don't know, ask, and just why that's important. You know, probably the most important reason to understand the process that your trades have to get their work completed is so that when you're putting together that schedule, you understand their needs. So, you know, if you're like, okay, I've got 60 days to build whatever, you know, you can sit down with your schedule and say, okay, my mason, since we're talking about masons, need X number of days. My plumber needs X number of days. My, you know, whatever cladding, my roofer needs X number of days. Right. So when you lay it all out, you're not being unrealistic. So I can't say, I'm going to have I'm going to do my concrete on Monday, my framing on Tuesday, put my roof on Wednesday, I'm going to brick on Thursday, and I'm going to drywall on Friday.
I'm going to call the homeowner now and schedule their closing.
Yeah. So it's important to understand, A, the duration time of how long it takes your trades to work. And that's understanding how long they want to take, right, and how long they need to take.
That's really true, too.
Because there's 2 different things. And then also understanding what comes first, second, third, and how that affects your individual trades. Because I give you a perfect example. You know, a lot of builders are using alternative decking, like a Duradeck, or they're using EPDM, which is like a rubber membrane, in lieu of like traditional wood decks or Trex decks or whatever. And there are certain things you have to do first. So if you have a deck and there's a door, like if you're using a Duradeck product, they have to come in and they have to pre-flash that door before you set it. So I know a lot of guys are like, set my windows and doors, do it now. And they'll set the door, and then your decking guy shows up, and he's like, you got to pull that door. I can't get my work done as a result.
Well, we have a lot of these same conversations. That is one of the WRB conversations, weather-resistant barrier.
Weather-resistant barrier.
So we always want to talk about making sure your house is watertight before you start cladding on the outside, and how the openings in that home integrate with the weather-resistant barrier and the actual cladding, and how the water runs off of that home is going to be a large thing about what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Pre-flashing, getting those materials shingled so that water runs off of one down the other and doesn't give it a chance to cup and catch water.
Yep. Fish mouth.
I feel like that's one of the things that you really have to understand what it takes from your trade partner, so that you know what you have to ask them for.
For sure.
Isn't that what you're saying? Like,
yeah. Because you got to be ready for them.
Right. And you know, or you end up with a situation where you do force a guy to jam windows and doors in. It's not pre-flashed properly. Ugh. And then if you try to, you're going to have situations that aren't shingled. And what I mean by that is like tape that is taped to a wall, let's say, and then a Duradeck product that comes up on the outside of it.
Right.
So you just have one more chance for water to get behind a door, get underneath that to start rotting wood. And sometimes that's not evident for the first couple of years.
Yeah, man. Well, and that's the thing. And I think if you don't take the time to learn the processes, those are the mistakes you're going to make. You know, Duradeck is just one example. Same thing with rails. If you have to get your rails in your posts or however you're going to, depending on the product you're building, but typically you have to flash those posts as well. So understanding the process will save you a lot of rework and time and money after the fact.
And arguments. Because you're going to argue about that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to bring people out, and if it's not decided in their contract already that they have to make X amount of trips to your job to do pre-work and then post-work or work.
Or work. Let's call it work.
We'll just call it work.
So, but there's a ton of
follow-up work.
There's a ton of examples like that. So we talked about, like the duration, understanding the duration of how long these things take. It's also important to understand, are they dependent on other trades? So Duradeck's a good example. So is like finished plumbing in a house. Right. You know, I was talking to a guy, and I asked him. He said his cabinets were delayed. And I said, okay, well, how can you keep going? What can you do? And I was kind of testing him. And one of the trades he said that could still go into the house was a plumber. And I'm like, okay, well, if your cabinets are delayed, that means there's no tops, there's no countertops, which means there's no sinks, which means there's no place to put a faucet. So a plumber maybe could put toilets in. Yeah, but he's not going to finish. Fixtures. You know, that means that guy's going to have to take 2 trips out to the house.
Yeah, and there's another subsequent problem that comes with that too, and that's you're asking a guy to come in and bring all of his material in one load, unbox all the things that are available, and what's he going to want to do? Is he going to want to load your stuff up and carry it around in his already cluttered truck? No. He's going to want to stash that in your house, a bunch of faucets in the box, which quickly grows legs and walks away. And you end up having to purchase again and delay there, and you're causing yourself lots of problems if you don't quite understand.
Dude, and faucets are expensive.
Right.
People don't realize,
Did I tell you that the first time I really got my ass handed to me by a trade partner when I was an assistant construction manager was plumbing fixtures?
Why?
It's almost because I called our friend Dan. He's still there. Works for our plumbing contractor. He's like an owner now, I think, a part owner. Anyway, he was the site foreman at the time. Okay. And I'm like, they're like, Shite, get out there and yell at everybody until they get it done. We got 7 closings this month.
Yeah.
It's 2004. And
you're so old.
I know.
It's 2004.
And so I called him and I was like, you haven't been at this house yet. You were supposed to be there yesterday. And he's like, I'll call you back. And he just hangs up. I'm like, uh-oh. And he calls me back like 5 minutes later. He's like, you don't have vanity top in the master. You don't have vanity top.
Good.
They're not finished with the cabinet in the basement bath. They don't have the tile here. And he's like, you're not ready. It's not me. And he's like,
it's
I gotta
you.
Go. And I was like,
he's like breaking up with you.
I'm sorry for calling you, sir.
You know what though, man? That's awesome because that means that trade knows what they're doing. Right? Because they knew. They're like, yeah, let me get my notes. I'm going to school this boy.
He's a part owner for the company now. He's a pretty sharp guy.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
No, dude. But, I mean, once again, that was just me not knowing what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Not getting out, walking in the house, knowing what was missing, expecting them to get their job done in one day, expecting that day to be today, because we had talked about it. But I got to hold up my end of the bargain, too.
But that was in the beginning of your career. which is when I see most of these problems. So I see two different things. I see guys that just don't know because they're inexperienced, right? And I see guys that know they're just acting like jerks, demanding that things get done. Right. But really what you end up with, so in the first category, you usually get schooled. I'll tell you a story. I love telling stories. I had a guy I was training, this is years ago. It's like 2006, 2007, something like that. So this young superintendent, assistant, it may have been a superintendent, I don't know. He comes storming into my office with the plumber. And they're both like yelling at each other. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And the superintendent goes, I told this guy, this plumber, to, it's always the plumber, isn't it? Anyway, he goes, I told this guy he needs to do blah, 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 whatever it was. And I look at the plumber and he goes, Damien, I really got to do this? And I was like, did my superintendent tell you to do it? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, then you do it. Get out of my office. And the plumber walks out and I grabbed the superintendent. I said, hey, man, the plumber is 100% right. You are wrong. You need to go tell him that you made the decision to do it his way because it is the right way. And, next time you have a question, you call me first. And he's like, oh, sorry. Okay, boss. And he ran out and he fixed it. And, everybody was happy. But, two things happened there, right? So one, I was like, he's like yelling at this plumber. He has no idea what he's talking about. But he
knows he's frustrated.
He knows he's frustrated. He's a super good superintendent, right? So I didn't want to undermine him in front of the trade. So, anyway, but he was 100% wrong. So I don't know if I did the right thing, but I think I did the right thing for my superintendent, but maybe not necessarily for the trade, even though it all got fixed.
There to clear it up and make
sure
he
did
squared away.
Yeah, and he did. And that plumber was actually a really good plumber.
There's about 100 ways to have that same conversation. Get the same information out. You could probably have to play it by ear.
Yeah,
don't know the guys. Don't know the situation. How many incidents they've had in the previous weeks.
I don't know.
This might be the 15th conversation you've had about it.
I think that particular plumber we had a lot of issues with.
Yeah.
So
that's the case sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. But I always remember that for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Not for nothing. It helps to know his job. No joke. I worked with a plumber a couple years ago. That's why we're talking about plumbers. But
I feel like we're picking on plumbing.
Well, I'm not at all. It's a good example of a trade that you have to understand because underground plumbing in a slab situation or in a basement under the slab in the first place, man, you got one chance to get it right, and then it's costly. You want to start
for sure.
And not just costly, but you start moving tight corners and bathroom groups and drains in the basement under the slab, and you look at leak potentials and you look into clog potentials. You're causing yourself problems. But we'd given them a prototype scenario with thing that they'd never built before, and their program didn't quite work with our program, and I laid out one building, and I didn't quite understand what it took to do their job. We pushed them through this 8-unit townhouse building and then go to pour concrete, and one of the guys snapped a line and pulled a tape measure to check to one of the bearing walls to check his point, and he's like, man, he called me over. He's like, this bathroom group's like really close here. I think it's supposed to be farther that way. And turned out everything in the whole row was off a couple of inches. And we're talking about big money here. Toilet flange in a basement, breaking up concrete.
You laid it out?
I laid out everyone after that point.
Oh, I thought you laid that one out.
No, I'm saying they laid it out and gave me the thumbs up.
Oh,
I didn't quite understand what the circumstances were.
Yeah.
Because I didn't quite understand their job in my plan here.
Yeah.
And I kind of learned, I almost got burned. I prevented it.
Good.
And then, moving forward, I helped lay out those groundworks because I knew I had some key points that I needed to avoid. If you adjust 6 inches or whatever, that's not a big deal.
Dude, jackhammering slabs is horrible.
And then you're arguing with who's responsible and what the costs are.
Dude, I'll tell you, I had this is years ago, I had a plumber and a concrete contractor that were really tight. Mm-hmm. And I worked with him for like 2 years, and I never had, it was always on autopilot. So he would dig his groundworks. It was all slab on grade towns. He would dig his groundworks and leave the trenches open. And the concrete guy would come in and fill them all up.
I mean, after his inspection?
After his inspection, he would just leave it. He would have mounds of dirt, and it was just normal. they had this arrangement worked out.
Yeah, you got a machine, whatever.
Yeah. So to me though, as I was learning, that was the norm, and I was like, well, the plumber can just leave his his spoils essentially any way he wants, and the concrete guy takes care of it. So then they transported me to another job, and I get two different.
It's like a feud.
Well, it's two completely different, different plumber, different concrete guy, and I call the concrete guy. I'm like, hey, groundworks are done, inspected. Get in here and put your slabs in. Spoils everywhere because the plumber didn't just left it, which is what I was used to. And the concrete guy comes out and he's like, you're out of your mind. And I'm like, buddy, you better pour those slabs. And he's like, I'm not doing anything until you get all those mounds knocked down.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't understand. I called my other plumber and I'm like, I can't believe this guy. And he's like, oh, Damien.
That's not the way it works.
He's like that. he's like, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
I know the concrete guy.
He's like, I'm dating this guy's sister.
Yeah, he's
the
like,
only reason I pull this off.
Yeah, he's like, we have an arrangement. And I was like, because I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I was in that dude's face, like, you're going to do it, blah, 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 blah. And he was in my face telling me, no, I'm not. So, but again, I didn't really understand the process.
I'm definitely noticing, especially like you said, new CMs, or even CMs that are out of their element a little bit. Some of them are fairly new to the business, let's say, but they have lots of construction experience and they've built stuff before.
Yeah.
I noticed that guy gets frustrated easily because he knows how he thinks it should be.
Yeah.
But if you haven't lived by these processes and learned them a little bit and followed along with what it really takes to get the job done, and you don't quite have that firm grasp on what they have to do to get to your finished product, then you're going to get frustrated and you're going to end up having arguments where you're the one who looks silly at the end of the day.
That's the worst, man.
It is.
I shouldn't say it's the worst because that's how you learn. I mean, that's how you got a ton of experience. That's how I got a ton of experience. But it's being able to swallow your pride a little bit and just asking the question.
Right.
Because I know when I went from when I opened my own general contracting company, I was agreeing to do work that I really had no idea how to do. I'm going to do, and it was a huge learning curve. And fortunately, I had one guy that worked for me that was really sharp, and he saved my butt multiple times. Like, he would just be like, "Hey, man, you're the boss, but I think we should do it this way." And I'd be like, "What? Okay." Oh.
Yeah.
So
I have a new philosophy over the last couple of years.
For what?
And that's like, because I'm now that I'm running a team and it's not just me and one guy or me and two guys, it's a collaboration. Like we talk about the problem or what goal we're trying to meet. Mm-hmm. I want to know everybody else's ideas because all of you do it differently. And I know we desperately in a big company want to try and make everybody do it the exact same way.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case. So let's hear everybody's thoughts on these things. And that goes right back to what we're talking about here. Like, I work with a couple of different roofers right now. They have different orders in which they do things.
Yeah.
The most important part is that your paper goes on and tapes to the house prior to anything going on to the rest of the house so that you can shingle that stuff off. So knowing those processes, and that's a new thing too. We used to pre-flash and then slip paper up underneath the pre-flashing so you can but that's not what the standard is anymore, and you end up getting dinged on your quality inspections or whatever, and that's how you get better. You got to learn from those things and then try and get out ahead of them.
Dude, especially when you go to a new product and you don't understand it. I see all the time, it used to be just every house had one type of roofing on it.
Right.
Now you drive down the street and you've got, asphalt shingles, you've got metal roof, they're all intertwined and everything else. You've got, little shed roofs, you got all kinds of stuff. So, different kinds of siding or cladding, vinyl siding or, cementitious siding or whatever, and they all go on differently.
Right.
And I know that the first time I put a metal roof on a building, I didn't flash it. I sided because the metal guys were like, no, my metal goes on last because I don't want anybody to dent it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So the siding up there, there's no flashing behind the behind the
and
siding.
You end up ripping your first course of siding off.
Yeah,
so that you can get something attached to the home. Right?
Exactly, and that's
or up
just
under house wrap if you're using house wrap.
Exactly, and that's just not understanding the process. So now I know I have to have when the paper goes on, my pre-flashing goes on for the metal roof as well.
This is also why I know a lot of CMs that hear that, there's training coming up, and they're like, I've got so much to do. Last thing I want to do is devote a half a day to training. Truth is, we're talking about exterior walls. That's changed at least 3 times since I've been building for the same builder.
Yeah, man.
We've used all types of different products. They improve. They change. They start having different processes. Man, this is you have to learn every single day. So gathering this information and this know-how is something that you should always be trying to
dude,
write in your book, write the notes down.
Dude, speaking of different, so I went from when I was in commercial construction, we used this product. I thought it was amazing. I learned all about it. I don't want to. There's a lot of litigation around it right now, so I don't want to call it out. But I was like, this product is amazing. And then when I got back into residential, there was an application. I thought, this product would be great for it, because I went from there was like a gap. But anyway, I'm like, we should use this product. And the guy I was working for was like, are you kidding?
Dude.
And he started,
not a good plan.
Yeah, and he started showing me all these lawsuits around the product. And I was like, okay, let's not use that product. That's not good. So,
well, products have come and gone. I mean, there's, pretty sure we're not like using asbestos insulation
Speak
anymore,
for yourself.
or like lead paint either. So somebody had to teach people about water-based paint at some point.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, if you do, and I know we have some remodelers out there, it's really important. Speaking of lead paint and all that, there's asbestos in some in vermiculite, which is an insulation.
Right.
And some of it has it, and some of it don't. So you don't know. So it's really important to educate yourself on means and methods and the products that are in these houses, because sometimes some of them can kill you. So
one of the things you noted here on this awesome dry erase board here, it's a wall actually.
Yes.
It's pretty sweet. Was your tile, green board, mud pans, that all kind of goes together there. That's a good example of like understanding the process. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, the way drywall or green board or cementitious board that goes behind tile isn't integrated properly with a mud pan or a shower liner, floor liner.
Yeah.
How the drain ties in, like understanding the concept of bringing in the guys to do, the plumbing first, the framing first, the plumbing, then the slope of whatever you're using. If you're using like a pro slope or whatever, and that goes down before the liner.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you do a mud pan, you put the liner down, you water test it, then you put down the mud pan. So there's like understanding the product that you're using and the order in which they go. And that's going to save you time, because when you schedule 4 guys for 4 days and then guy number 2 shows up and says, whoa, no, guy number 4 needs to be here for 2 stops and he's got to be here before me. Now all of a sudden you're losing like a week.
Yeah.
You're trying to put those guys back on the board, and you just didn't understand the order in which it went together.
Dude, it's funny you bring that up. I had a CM tell me today that his plumber told him, so it's a mud pan, right? That his plumber told him he always puts the plastic lining or the rubber liner on top of the slope.
So he just puts a mud right on the floor?
And I was like, no, dude. That's not how that works.
That would work if you had like a concrete floor.
Well, it's not a concrete floor.
Right. I was joking.
Yeah. Well, and the guy was like, he's like, am I losing my mind? And I said, no, dude. We need a new plumber.
I got one for you. All right, so we're building single-family homes, all finished basements for the most part, 14-inch I-joists for their floor systems.
Yep.
Plenty of room in that floor system for your plumbing, let's say, from the first floor.
Yeah.
Came down into an executive home basement. It was the first time this plumbing crew had been out there. Why are we bashing plumbers today?
I don't know. I feel like we were being really tough on plumbers.
We need to get a plumber on here and then apologize to him.
We should bash drywall guys. We'll call Mitch.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm okay with bashing drywall guys. That's cool. No, but he had roughed the entire basement in as if there was going to be like a drop ceiling.
What?
Like literally straight,
just ran everything underneath the joists?
Runs underneath the joists. Like it's this huge, like 9-foot ceiling basement with like all this stuff finished. Like it's got, the guy who's coming in after him is the electrician to put in 1 million freaking recess lights, and then the structured wiring guys to wire in all of this fancy stuff for this guy's like media room and all his crap, and he's got his plumbing just hanging there. And I get down to the basement. A guy called me and was like, you got to come see this.
Is this recently?
This was a couple years ago.
I wish you had a picture of it.
You got to come see this. And he's like, you're not going to believe this.
I
walked down, I was like, whoa. Welcome to your first day in like the 2000s. Man.
Wow.
Yeah, that guy didn't work there anymore. No, I think he actually fixed it. He just didn't understand it.
He probably just didn't understand the process. Nobody, they probably just assumed, which we do a lot. because guys, they don't want to.
The plumbing super probably assumed that he knew what he was going to do. Otherwise, he probably would have said, "Hey, don't run that stuff hanging through here like a jungle gym."
Yeah. That drill in your truck. Yeah, it's to cut holes in there.
Right.
But you know what though, man? A lot of people are I don't know if they're afraid or they're too prideful or whatever to ask.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to sound stupid, but does this plumbing go up into the joist, or should I just hang it all down?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's their problem to discuss. You have to assume as a construction manager that your plumbing company is going to do it like the plan shows. You know what,
man? I think that, as a construction manager, you're in charge of all the trades.
Right.
I don't know about you. I don't know how to do all the trades.
No, definitely don't know how to do all their jobs. No.
Sometimes I feel stupid.
I know how to do some of them, and I usually do those poorly.
Right. You should see me with a pen and a pad of paper. I'm like a ninja. But sometimes I'm like, I know this. I know the answer. I know this is a simple question, but you got to ask it anyway if you're just not sure.
Right.
So that because there's nothing worse. Like if you had like an assistant construction manager on the job site and you were like, hey, I can't believe the plumber did this, and he turned to you and said, yeah, I told him to do it.
And you'd be like,
oh my God.
Damn it.
Because people do that all the time. I mean, there's a lot of times where I've come across, construction managers, and I've made the same mistake. I've told a trade to do something because I thought it was right, but I never bothered to say, hey, Mr. Tradesperson, is this the best way to do this?
Right.
Instead, I'm just like, do it my way because I'm in charge. And then it ends up being completely wrong.
I think this whole message is about asking questions, really.
It really is, man.
Trying to understand why things happen, not just get it done.
Yeah.
I've also heard through the years a number of construction managers who no longer are construction managers say stuff like, why do I have to know how he does it? All I need to do is make sure that he's here on Monday and done by Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm glad they're not.
And maybe that timeline is the first thing you need to learn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But not only that, dude, if you understand the process, they can't BS you. They can't come out and say, well, sorry, I can't do it because, Johnson rod is bent and you're going to have to get somebody in here to do it. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So it's not just to make sure that it's done right. It's to make sure that nobody can, pull the wool over your eyes.
Well, that's true, too.
I'm trying not to curse. How am I doing?
Pull the wool over your eyes?
I don't know. I was going to say...
Nobody pulls the wool over your eyes.
I'm trying to class it up. We're in a new place. I'm trying to class it up a little bit.
I think it's probably good that we don't just swear like sailors here. I mean, you were a sailor. Do they really swear like that?
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh, my God, yes. I still cuss like I'm in the Navy.
I know. It's been a hard situation for me, too, going from, Army to rugby team to construction.
Dude, I had somebody sum it up the other day, and they were like, when you're in the military, you become a prolific cursor.
Yeah.
And I was really like, hell yeah, you're really good at it.
Yeah.
And it becomes normal.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and it's easy to be like that on the job. And,
yeah,
you can't act like that all the time. I definitely have been at our regional office and seen my partner in crime, Kristen, lean her head around the door like, you're swearing in the regional office. And I'm like, ooh, okay, sorry.
You know what, man? I feel like people are so used to it, nobody even reminds me anymore. They're just like, oh, Damien's here. And I'm like, blankety blank. It's probably at some point it's going to hinder my professional growth.
Yeah, and, to add to these couple of things that we're talking about here, that also goes for, like, your own company. Occasionally you'll see somebody sticking their foot in their mouth because they don't quite understand your own company policies. Mm-hmm. Who's responsible for what? I don't know how to describe that because, you're going to bridge a lot of gaps from different departments. When you're
as a
building
construction
houses,
manager?
As a construction manager, you're going to have the accounting department asking you questions and your boss maybe. You're going to be talking with, like, let's say, HR about your own personal stuff, pay, and that sort of thing. And, it's hard to understand all of those things. It's best to not snap judgment and ask the question and make sure that you're not looking stupid when it's all said and done.
Can I throw out a shameless plug at this point? Because what you just said ties directly into the Builder Tactics, A Practical Guide to Construction Management.
Sweet. Because
it bridges everything in there. So there's no flush. But you were talking about accounting. So it talks about job site management, accounting, leadership, stress. I don't know what else. Tons of stuff. But it takes it's like all the essential tools a construction manager needs. It puts it in one place with no garbage.
Right.
It doesn't get into means and methods, but it gets into everything else. So I just want to throw that out there. It's available now on buildertactics.com.
So shameless.
All right, so we got to talk about Builder Tactics. So, like I said, it's the greatest website ever. I tried to get Jen on the show today, but I couldn't get her fast enough, unfortunately. So we've got buildertactics.com. The manual, volume 2, is released. It's out there. Check us out on Instagram and YouTube. There's going to be some video content loaded within the next 30 days, we'll say. Online training should be ready in the next 30 days. Live event, working on it.
Okay.
Working on it.
I'll be there.
What else? What else is coming up? Oh, send us your pictures, your construction fails. I have a couple. I have a handful, which is cool. Send us some more, and we'll have a contest.
This is a good podcast. I was just thinking, man, I'd shut this off.
Yeah.